First, Audley Harrison. Harrison was an Olympic gold medalist, the man who was supposed to bring heavyweight boxing back to Britain's glory days. When he won gold at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, the hype was immediate. He wasn't just a champion, he was a symbol of a new era. Harrison turned pro in 2001, and the stage was set for him to become a pay-per-view star. Britain had finally found its next Lennox Lewis, or so they thought. At first, it all looked real. Harrison signed a massive £1 million deal with the BBC, a record-breaking move that had everyone convinced he was the future of the division. He stepped into the ring with confidence, all 6'5" of him, towering over opponents and stopping them with ease. Through his first 19 fights, he racked up knockout after knockout. His left hand was sharp with a very crisp jab. And the talk? Oh, Harrison could talk. He called out every big name in the heavyweight scene, promising to dominate. But then came the reality check: Danny Williams. In 2005, Harrison faced Williams, the same Williams who had upset Mike Tyson a year earlier. This was Harrison's big test, and he failed badly. He looked gun-shy, hesitant, almost scared to let his hands go. Williams outworked him and handed Harrison his first loss. Fans started asking the question, was Audley all just a hype? Harrison bounced back against low-level opponents, but every time he stepped up, the same story played out. Lost to Dominic Ginn, lost to Martin Rogan. Then came his brief redemption in 2010 when he won the European title and lined up a massive showdown with David Haye for the WBA Heavyweight Championship. This was it, the moment to silence critics. Instead, what fans saw was one of the most embarrassing performances in boxing history. Harrison landed just one punch in 3 rounds before getting knocked out. That was the end of the dream. Harrison fought a few more times, but the magic was gone. The Olympic hero who was supposed to rule the heavyweight division ended his career with 7 losses and a reputation as British boxing's ultimate disappointment. Audley wasn't just a flop. He became the cautionary tale for every fighter who believed hype could replace hunger. Second, Prince Naseem Hamed. Prince was one of the flashiest fighters boxing had ever seen. The kid from Sheffield who danced to the ring like a superstar, flipped over the ropes, and knocked people out cold. In the 90s, Naseem wasn't just a boxer, he was a phenomenon. With a record of 35 wins, no single loss, and a knockout ratio over 80%, people believed he could become an all-time great. Naseem had it all: the power, the speed, the southpaw stance that confused everyone, and a swagger that made Floyd Mayweather look humble. He'd clown opponents mid-fight, hands by his waist, throwing bombs from ridiculous angles, and they landed. He unified the featherweight division, headlined in Madison Square Garden, and earned tens of millions. At his peak, he was on top of the world. The British tabloids called him untouchable. HBO billed him as the face of boxing's new era. Then came April 7th, 2001 in Atlantic City. The Prince walked into the ring against Marco Antonio Barrera, a respected Mexican warrior. This was supposed to be Naseem's crowning moment, his introduction to American superstardom. Instead, it was the night everything fell apart. Barrera didn't just beat him, he dismantled him. For 12 rounds, Barrera nullified every trick, outboxed him, and even humiliated him by ramming his head into the corner post in the final round. The judges scored it wide and the aura was gone. After that loss, the fire in Naseem vanished. He fought once more, beating a journeyman in 2002, then retired at just 28 years old. From 35 wins and 0 losses to 36 wins with 1 loss, and then nothing. People blamed his ego, his obsession with luxury cars and celebrity status, and his refusal to adapt. Some say he stopped training seriously years before Barrera. Others argue he couldn't handle being humbled after years of invincibility. What's certain is this: Prince Naseem Hamed was a shooting star. Brilliant, explosive, unforgettable, but short-lived. He had Hall of Fame talent and the charisma to own an era. But when adversity came, he chose the exit door instead of the hard road back. Today, he's remembered more for the ring walks and showboating than for a sustained career of greatness. The Prince was supposed to reign forever. Instead, he became boxing's ultimate what could have been. Tres Felix Verdejo. At one point, he wasn't just Puerto Rico's next champion. He was supposed to be the island's next Felix Trinidad. A 2012 Olympian with lightning-fast hands, crisp technique, and knockout power, Verdejo had everything you'd want in a future star. Top Rank signed him immediately after the Olympics, and the hype machine went into overdrive. HBO showcased his fights. Even ESPN ranked him among boxing's brightest prospects. He wasn't just winning, he was dominating. Through his first 23 fights, Verdejo racked up highlight reel knockouts and built an undefeated record that had fans dreaming of another Puerto Rican legend. By 2016, the comparisons were flowing. El Diamante, the Diamond, was headlining cards at Madison Square Garden, selling out in New York and Puerto Rico. Analysts predicted world titles, pay-per-view headliners, maybe even superstardom. But the cracks started to show. In 2016, Verdejo was in a serious motorcycle accident that left him hospitalized. He returned, but something was off. The speed was still there, but the explosiveness, not quite the same. His confidence seemed shaken. Then came the turning point. March 17, 2018, against Antonio Lozada Jr. Verdejo entered with 23 wins and 0 loss. A massive favorite. Instead, he got outworked and knocked out in the 10th round. Just like that, the aura was gone. Top Rank pulled back their push. Verdejo fought sporadically afterwards, scoring a few wins but never regaining his old dominance. In December 2020, he had one last shot at redemption against Masayoshi Nakatani. For 5 rounds, Verdejo looked like his old self, dropping Nakatani twice. Then, the collapse. Nakatani rallied and stopped Verdejo in the 9th. That was the final nail. The dream was dead. But the real tragedy wasn't in the ring. In May 2021, Felix Verdejo was arrested for the disappearance of a 27-year-old pregnant woman, Keishla Rodriguez, who was pregnant with his child. Prosecutors alleged he lured her, beat her, injected her with drugs, and threw her off a bridge with a cinder block tied to her. Verdejo now faces life in prison or worse. Felix Verdejo wasn't just a flop, he became a nightmare. A prodigy who went from boxing's bright future to its darkest headline. 4. David Reed, the man America crowned as its next Sugar Ray Leonard. When Reed won gold at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, he wasn't just a champion. He was the only U.S. fighter to take gold that year, and that made him the poster boy for boxing's future. Golden smile, explosive jab, textbook fundamentals. Reed looked like he was made in a lab for superstardom. When he turned pro in 1997 under Top Rank, the hype was immediate. HBO signed him, sponsors lined up, his nickname was American Dream. And for a while, it seemed real. Reed tore through his first 10 opponents, winning a world title in just his 10th fight, tying Roy Jones Jr.'s record. At 14 wins, 0 loss. He wasn't just winning, he was dominating. Analysts said he'd be the next great American star in the post-De La Hoya era. Then came March 3rd, 2000 in Paris, France. Reed faced Felix Trinidad in a massive unification bout. This was supposed to be his coronation. Instead, it was the beginning of the end. Reed started strong, even dropping Trinidad in round 3. But after that, disaster followed. Trinidad battered him for the remaining rounds, closing his eyes so badly that Reed could barely see. The referee let it go the distance, but Reed left with a grotesquely swollen face and a broken spirit. He was only 17 fights into his career when the truth came out. Reed had a pre-existing eye problem called ptosis, made worse by the punishment from Trinidad. Doctors warned another severe injury could leave him blind. The comeback attempt was short-lived. Reed fought 3 more times, looking nothing like the phenom who dazzled the Olympics. By 2001, at just 28 years old, the American dream was over. David Reed retired with a record of 17 wins and 2 losses, but it wasn't supposed to end like this. He had the tools, the charisma, and the Olympic pedigree to be a generational star. Instead, he became one of boxing's most heartbreaking what-ifs. Not because he lacked talent, but because his body betrayed him. From gold medal glory to early retirement, David Reed's rise and fall is a brutal reminder. In boxing, one night can change everything. 5. Adrian Broner. If you watched boxing in the early 2000s, you can remember the hype. The man from Cincinnati wasn't just good, he was electric. Fast hands, slick defense, and swagger for days. He walked to the ring rapping songs with the likes of Rick Ross and Kendrick Lamar, flashed stacks of cash on Instagram, and told the world he was the next Floyd Mayweather. and for a while, it looked real. Broner went pro at just 18 and started tearing through opponents. He wasn't just winning, he was clowning guys. Hands down, shoulder rolls, smiling while landing uppercuts. By 2013, Broner was a 3-division world champion. He won titles at super featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight before he even hit his mid-20s. HBO and Showtime were fighting for him. Floyd Mayweather called him Lil Bro. Analysts said he could be the face of boxing for the next decade. Then came December 2013 in San Antonio, when he faced Marcos Maidana. This was Broner's first big step up at 147, and he walked in like the fight was a formality. Maidana wasn't there for jokes. Instead, he turned it into a nightmare. From round 1, the Argentine bulldozed Broner, dropping him twice and beating him up for 12 brutal rounds. The cocky kid who thought he was untouchable left the ring humiliated. Broner promised to bounce back, but the Maidana fight exposed cracks that never went away. He still won some fights, but every time he stepped up, the same story played out. Outworked, outfocused, and outclassed. Sean Porter bullied him. Mikey Garcia dominated him. Manny Pacquiao embarrassed him on pay-per-view. Outside the ring, it got worse. Broner was arrested multiple times for robbery, assault, public intoxication. He blew through millions, admitted to gambling problems, and repeatedly missed weight. His discipline vanished as his talent wasted away. From a 27-win, 0-loss phenom to a 34-win, 4 losses, 1-draw fighter clinging to relevance, Adrian Broner's fall wasn't just a dip, it was a crash. The saddest part was that he had everything: speed, power, charisma, and the Mayweather blueprint. But what Mayweather had that Broner didn't was obsession and dedication. Broner thought talent was enough. In boxing, it never is. Today, he's remembered more for memes than for mastery. The self-proclaimed about billions turned into a billion excuses. Adrian Broner was supposed to rule an era. Instead, he became its loudest cautionary tale. 6. Fernando Vargas. In the late 90s, he wasn't just a rising star. He was the next great Mexican-American warrior. A 2-time national champion, an Olympian at just 18, and a pro by 19, Vargas didn't walk into boxing quietly. He kicked the door down. With vicious power, smooth technique, and a fearless attitude, he tore through the junior middleweight division like a wrecking ball. By his 14th pro fight, he was a world champion. That's not a mistake. 14 fights. At just 21 years old, he beat the rugged Luis Ramon Yori Boy Campos for the IBF title and defended it against legit contenders like Ike Quarty and Winky Wright. He had everything: highlights, knockouts, a warrior's heart, and crossover appeal. For a moment, it looked like Vargas might be the guy to lead boxing into the next era. Then came Felix Trinidad, December 2000. Vargas took on Trinidad in a massive unification bout. It was violent, emotional, and unforgettable. Vargas got dropped twice in the first round, but he came back swinging, even knocking Trinidad down. For 8 rounds, it was a war, then Vargas gassed out. Trinidad dropped him 3 more times in round 12 and stopped him brutally. He was just 22, and that was his first loss. But the damage was permanent. Vargas never fought the same after that war. Still, he kept chasing greatness. 2 years later, he faced Oscar De La Hoya. This was supposed to be his redemption. Instead, he got knocked out again. Another high-profile loss. Injuries started piling up. His back gave him problems. He was caught using steroids in 2002, claiming it was a mistake, but the shine was already fading. He ballooned between fights, had weight issues, and never recaptured that early dominance. By the time he retired in 2007, he was just 29, but looked 39 in the ring. His final record was 26 wins and 5 losses. Not bad, but it wasn't supposed to be just not bad. Fernando Vargas wasn't a fraud. He was fearless, but he was rushed, overmatched too soon, and never given time to develop. His heart was never the issue. His body just couldn't keep up. He burned hot, fast, and out. A prodigy who might have been a legend if only someone had hit the brakes. Syed Miesti Amir Khan. Khan was an Olympic silver medalist at just 17 years old, the youngest British boxing medalist in nearly half a century. Khan wasn't just fast, he was blistering. His hands moved like spears, his footwork danced, and his charisma lit up press rooms. After the 2004 Olympics, the UK dubbed him boxing's next global star. At just 18, he went pro, and it was full steam ahead. Khan blitzed through the domestic scene. 10 fights in, he was already headlining arenas. By 2009, he became WBA light welterweight champion after dominating Andreas Kotelnik. Then he defended it with a brutal first-round KO over Dmitry Salita. His speed was untouchable and his talent obvious. Promoters talked about Khan unifying the 140-pound division. Some said he could one day challenge Mayweather. But the chin? That was always the problem. In 2008, Colombian underdog Bridas Prescott knocked him out cold in under a minute. One punch, lights out. The flaw was exposed and it would haunt him forever. Khan rebounded with Freddie Roach in his corner. He won back-to-back wars with Marcos Maidana and Paulie Malignaggi and regained respect. But in 2011, against Lamont Peterson, Khan lost a close, controversial decision and the mystique started cracking again. Then came Danny Garcia. Khan started strong until he got clipped in round 3. 3 knockdowns later, it was over. Another knockout, another crash. But Khan kept chasing the big names. In 2016, he jumped 2 weight classes to face Canelo Alvarez at middleweight. It was a suicide mission. For 5 rounds, he boxed well. In the 6th, he got flatlined by a right hand that nearly took his soul. Fans winced, and that knockout replayed for months. Even then, Khan wasn't done. He beat some smaller names, but the legacy fights kept slipping. He finally got his long-awaited UK grudge match with Kell Brook in 2022. But by then, Khan was a shadow of himself. He got bullied and stopped in 6 rounds. Amir Khan's story isn't just about knockout losses. It's about potential that never found consistency. A career built on speed, but undone by defense, chin, and questionable matchmaking. He was good enough to be a legend, but reckless enough to miss it. Amir Khan wasn't a bust. He just never became what he could have been. 8. Gary Russell Jr. Russell had one of the fastest pairs of hands boxing had ever seen. A 2008 US Olympian and one of the most dominant amateurs of his generation. Russell came into the pro game with all the right tools. Southpaw stance, blistering combinations, elite footwork. He looked like a future pound-for-pound great. Floyd Mayweather praised him, HBO featured him, and fans couldn't stop replaying his hand speed highlight reels in slow motion, just to keep up. He turned pro in 2009, and by 2014, he had a spotless record of 24 wins and 0 losses. He was untouched. People were already penciling in his name for future super fights. But then came Vasyl Lomachenko. Russell was supposed to be the better pro, the more experienced fighter. Instead, Loma outclassed him. It was a chess match, and Russell was always a move behind. The loss wasn't a knockout, but it was clear, and it hit hard. Still, Russell bounced back. He beat Johnny Gonzalez in 2015 to win the WBC featherweight title. That should have been the launch pad. But here's where the story changes. Russell started fighting just once a year, literally. From 2015 to 2021, he averaged 1 fight annually, 7 fights in 7 years, and not against top-tier competition. While guys like Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton, Oscar Valdez, and Shakur Stevenson were chasing belts and unifications, Russell was sitting on the sidelines. He blamed promotional issues, injuries, opponents ducking him. But fans got tired of the excuses. The talent was still there, but the momentum was gone. He never unified, never moved up decisively, never took the fights that made his weight class exciting. In 2022, Russell finally returned to defend his belt against Mark Magsayo. But this time, his inactivity caught up. He injured his shoulder mid-fight, and even though he showed heart, he lost a close decision. His title reign ended, not with a war, but with a shrug. Russell's record ended with 31 wins and only 2 losses, still respectable. But the question was never how good he was. It was how much he left on the table. Gary Russell Jr. didn't flop because of skill. He flopped because he stalled. A prodigy who mastered the art of fighting, just not often enough. From Olympians to Instagram kings, these prodigies were supposed to run the sport. Instead, they became reminders that talent opens the door. But discipline, hunger, and timing, that's what gets you through it. If you made it this far, drop a like, hit subscribe, and tell us, which boxing prodigy disappointed you the most? Because this is only round 1.